All right, so let's dive into this whole situation with former President Trump revoking security details for some pretty big names.
Big names, yeah.
You sent us some articles from AP News.
Uh-huh.
So you're obviously already interested in this.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like a political thriller.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Dr. Fauci, Mike Pompeo, Brian Hook, and John Bolton.
All tangled up in it, yeah.
All caught up in it.
Yeah, it's fascinating how it's not just about, like, the protection.
Right.
But it's about how these decisions are made.
Yeah.
You know, you might be wondering, does a president just get to decide this on a whim?
Yeah. Does he just...
Turns out it's a bit of a gray area.
Oh, really?
Which makes this whole thing even more fascinating.
Okay, so let's unpack that gray area.
Okay.
Starting with Dr. Fauci.
All right.
Trump ended his federal security detail on January 23rd, 2025. Even though there were still threats against him.
Right. And you decided to look into this. So you probably already know Fauci's well off.
Yeah.
But this raises a question.
Yeah.
Should public service mean risking financial ruin for security?
Yeah.
Should everyone in government have to worry about that?
Right.
Because Fauci ended up hiring private security.
Yeah.
Which not everyone can afford.
Of course not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Trump basically said he wouldn't feel responsible.
Oh, wow.
If anything happened to Fauci or any of the other officials who lost their protection, his reasoning was that they made a lot of money and can handle it themselves.
Oh, that's a pretty bold statement, right?
It is.
It really gets to the heart of a president's responsibility to protect people who serve their country.
Right.
Especially if they disagreed with the president's policies.
Especially since Fauci was very vocal about his disagreements with Trump's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
And then to add another layer of complexity.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
President Biden pardoned Fauci just a few days before this all happened.
That pardon was huge.
Yeah.
You probably caught that in the news.
Yeah.
But it really shows how worried the Biden administration was about potential fallout for Fauci. It's not every day a president pardons someone who hasn't even been charged with a crime.
Right. So we've got security concerns, financial implications, and a presidential pardon.
There's a lot.
It's a lot to unpack with just Fauci.
Absolutely. And this idea of making a lot of money.
Oh, here we go again.
Also came up with Pompeo and Hook.
Oh, really?
But the threat against them was different.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Pompeo and Hook, they were facing threats from Iran.
Right.
Because of their hardline stance against the country during Trump's first term.
And those weren't just empty threats either.
No.
They were considered credible enough that the Biden administration actually renewed their security detail multiple times.
Exactly.
The last time being in October 2024.
Yeah, and this gets back to that gray area we were talking about.
Right.
Two different administrations with very different views on Iran.
Yeah.
Both agreed these threats were serious.
Wow.
And get this.
Yeah.
The State Department, under Biden, was spending over $2 million a month.
$2 million?
A month.
Wow.
To protect Pompeo and Hook.
That's a lot of taxpayer money.
It is.
Even if the threat is real.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder. Is there a better way to handle these kinds of situations?
Yeah. How do we balance the need to protect people who serve their country with being responsible with taxpayer money?
Especially when you've got these potentially politically motivated decisions.
Yeah, it's a tough question.
It is.
And then you've got John Bolton, who Trump also targeted. He revoked Bolton's security clearance and Secret Service protection back on January 21st.
Bolton's case is almost like a perfect storm.
Oh, really?
He had assassination attempts against him from Iran.
Wow.
Plus, he wrote that book.
Oh, right.
The White House tried to block.
Yeah.
Because they said it had classified information. So it's not just foreign threats.
Right.
There are potential legal issues swirling around him, too.
And this isn't the only time Trump has gone after people he sees as opponents.
No.
Remember that whole debate about Hunter Biden's laptop?
Oh, yes.
During the campaign? Some officials contradicted the narrative being pushed, and Trump revoked their security clearances, too.
Yeah, that's an important connection to make.
Right.
You know, if we look at all these cases together, it paints a pretty unsettling picture.
It does.
It starts to feel less like protecting national security and more like punishing people who dare to disagree with Trump.
So what kind of message do you think this sends
Right.
Especially to people who are currently serving in government.
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
Does speaking up, even if you think something is wrong, put you at risk?
Right.
Will you be punished later on?
Exactly.
It could create a chilling effect where people are afraid to speak truth to power.
And if that happens, everyone loses.
Yeah.
We need people to be able to speak freely and share their expertise, even if it's uncomfortable.
Absolutely. A healthy democracy needs open debate, even when it's about tough topics.
So we've got these individual cases.
Right.
But it sounds like the bigger issue is this pattern of potentially using security decisions as a weapon.
Right. If a president can just decide who gets protection and who doesn't, based on personal feelings, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
It undermines the whole idea of a fair and impartial system.
And that brings us to the central question.
Okay.
Is this just Trump being Trump?
Right.
Or is this something much bigger?
Yeah.
Something that could set a dangerous precedent for future presidents.
That's what's so crucial about understanding this situation.
Yeah.
What seems like personal grudges could have long-lasting consequences for how our government operates.
Yeah, it's scary to think that we might be setting a precedent where disagreeing with the president could put you at risk. It's like, imagine if your workplace fire alarm only went off for people the boss didn't like.
Right.
That's kind of what this feels like for these former officials.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And it highlights the danger of letting personal feelings influence decisions that should be based on objective assessments of risk.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We talked about Fauci, Pompeo, Hook, Bolton, all facing different threats.
Right.
But all caught up in this web of potentially politically motivated decisions.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that stands out to you the most in all of this?
I think for me, it's the chilling effect this could have on anyone who can serving in government. If you know that speaking truth to power could result in losing your security clearance.
Right.
Or even your personal safety later on.
Yeah.
Why would you risk it?
That's a good point. We need people to be able to advise presidents and make decisions.
Exactly.
Without fear of retribution.
And it goes beyond just government service.
Right.
What about whistleblowers? What about journalists who investigate powerful people?
Right.
If this becomes the norm, it could discourage anyone from speaking out against wrongdoing.
It's almost like we're sliding down the slippery slope toward a place where dissent is silenced.
Right.
And that's a dangerous place for any democracy to be.
It is. And it's something we all need to be aware of and push back against.
Right.
We need to demand transparency and accountability from our leaders and make it clear that we won't tolerate the abuse of power for personal or political gain.
So what can we as regular citizens do to make sure this doesn't become the new normal?
Well, stay informed, stay engaged, and make your voice heard.
Yeah.
Contact your representatives, support organizations that advocate for government accountability, and have those tough conversations with friends and family who might not see the danger in this.
Well, I think we've given our listener a lot to think about.
Yeah.
This whole situation with Trump revoking security details is complex.
It is.
And concerning. And it highlights some fundamental issues. About power security and the future of our democracy.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that we can't take our democratic institutions for granted.
Yeah.
We need to be vigilant and active in protecting them.
Thanks for helping us break all of this down.
Oh, of course. It's been a pleasure.
This deep dive has been eye-opening, to say the least.
And to our listener out there, remember, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.